I'm very happy to have with me today Mr. Selvarasu, who is a green expert. And when you ask me what exactly is a green expert, he's a person uh, who in fact runs a company on his own, but he's been involved in anything to do with the environment, how to maintain green homes. And let me quickly introduce you to him by reading out his bio. He's got about 30 years of experience in energy and sustainability field. He's the founding member of the Indian Green Building Council. He's worked with multiple corporates in senior management positions. He started his own company about 12 years back, and they've delivered sustainable designs for multiple companies, more than 1,000 projects across the country. Just to name a few, there is the Bengaluru International Airport, five major campuses for Infosys, Wipro, TCS, Google, Apple, etc. And he's the recipient of the Green Fellow from the United States for global contribution from India for the Indian Fellows, and also a recipient of two national level awards for green work. Currently, he runs a company called Lead Consultancy in Bangalore, where they handle more than 500 projects on sustainability in India and in other Asian countries as well. And they've got architects working at about 7 locations in the country. Very good evening to you, Selvarasu sir. Thank you for consenting to be part of the show.
Very good evening, Sandeep. It is a pleasure to be part of this show.
Right, sir. So thank you for putting up with the technical glitch we had some time back, but I'm sure now we're all sorted. And without further ado, let me get into the first question. How did you get into this field of green buildings and sustainability and so on? I think by education you're not really into you've not really done something pertaining to green buildings and so on, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, Sandeep. In my life, I could talk from early childhood, everything by accident happened to me. Maybe I can little bit narrate about that. That was an interesting story for others, viewers to learn. In fact, I am basically from a humble family of lower middle class in a village, then started my entire education with a fight between agriculture, field work and education. That was a big fight happened. Had to step in, nobody knows. My family said you should get into the agriculture and continue the field work. But somewhere I'm passionate to get into the study or to escape from field work. That's how my study started there in way back, I can say 50 years back or 45 years back. There, once I crossed my fifth standard, there's a huge recommendation from my headmaster said this guy is something unique and he should continue the education. I continued, and the family member said, okay, the last resort will be 10th standard. Beyond that, you will not be allowed to study. Then that point in time in 10th standard, I wrote one district level examination. I took the first rank in the district. Then I got some scholarship to continue. Then my family said, okay, 2 more years to continue because I need to travel to the city. Then the scholarship of 1,500 rupees is good enough to continue the education for 2 years. That handle my expenses for education. Then finally what happened after plus two, when I took a second rank in the school, then I got both medical and engineering. Even that itself is an accident. Then after seeing both colleges admission, I still remember the day when morning I where to land. Is it a medical college or engineering college? Engineering college was 800 rupees the fee, and medical college was 20,000. Then the ultimate choice is my mother said, go to engineering college. I landed in engineering college. I wanted to do mechanical engineering. In the final interview, principal said, your brother is a mechanical engineer. Why not you do electrical electronics? I landed in electrical electronics. Then this journey took a different turn. Then I joined Birla Chemicals, doing project and maintenance. I was not happy. But I'm basically from a village where only 40 families were living, agricultural background. I saw people struggling for day-to-day life and food. And I thought, am I doing correct thing? Then I landed up in energy field. That is a Confederation of Indian Industry. That's where the turning point. When I was doing, I still remember there is a Saraswati Sugar. Still the bond memory about 26 years back, I landed up in one sugar factory in Uyur in Andhra Pradesh. There I gave a fantastic saving potential of almost close to 1 crore. That village is very remote. I saw a lot of household or houses not even lit properly. I was just roaming around that village after the study in the evening time. I saw a lot of people not having enough light and they candles and hurricane lamps. That's how the kids are studying. Then that kind of saving, I thought, if I save so much, then that power, though the company is going to get the benefit, finally that power will be given to the villages. When you save here, it goes to the village, they will get eliminated. So that's the triggering point. I thought this is the right field after a long journey. Then I continued with CII for a long period, almost 5-6 years. Then one more turning point. That's what the question what you asked, how you landed in green building industry. Then US President Clinton wanted to come to Hyderabad. That assignment, I am one of the key members to organize it. To get Clinton to Hyderabad, launching Green Business Center, green building in the country, that is again by accident. It came to me, I took it, landed in Hyderabad, 25 days without sleep. My wife still say, how you survived that 25 days without sleep. That paid a huge dividend for me. Launching green building, then I went to US for training. Being an electrical engineer, I was not having enough environmental knowledge. Went to US with God grace, with a sponsorship with the USAID, the CII, Cardiff Foundation. I wrote exam, then I cleared that particular green building consultant examination, tested lead, bringing to India, green rating. That's the journey. Then once I brought this green building rating to some level in the country, along with other members, I thought, why not? Also we have some limitations. Working in a company, you know very well, we have a limitation, boundaries are set, you can't go beyond boundary. Then I thought the best way to have our own company, my own company, so that I can go endless. That's how the green building, good journey so far, enjoying, and there's a good service to, I think I'm in the right path. So we
Excellent.
don't
Great
ask
to
for,
know. Great to know your background, starting from a humble rural background, going global and fighting for the environment, and probably that was your calling in life. Working for the environment.
yeah.
You had mentioned about India's, focus on green. What is currently happening in India in terms of initiatives? Are we doing enough for the environment in India already?
No, honestly speaking, I'm witnessing this green movement for last 22 years in this industry. Started up first green building that became the greenest in the world. That is a Hyderabad Green Center. That created a great movement for India. Once that has been launched in Hyderabad, greenest building, work hard for it. Then a lot of innovation has come into the market. We have beautiful standards and codes, energy conservation building codes are available. It is coming to the enforcement right now. In fact, I am setting up the Karnataka cell for certifying the building. So maybe after 2 years or so, up to 500 square meter plot area anybody builds, that has to go through the process of certification from the local government, like what you get for fire and waters board and BDA approval, BBMB approval. This is going to be the process in next 1.5 years. You will be seeing that. So that is the work we are doing it, and India stand almost number 2 in the world. Okay, in terms of sustainability, We have around 8 billion square feet launched in terms of building. I involved with around 600 buildings, right from small to high campuses like Infosys, TCS campus, Chennai Metro, Bangalore Airport. There are many buildings. I personally involved, delivered it. So the movement is picking up. But if you ask me, have we done enough in the country? No. We have long way to go. Unless otherwise it comes to the grassroots level where the common man builds a green building, we have done our job. That will take a long time. In fact, one more interesting project, Sandeep, we are doing it, all will get benefited with the German government and Indian Ministry of Power, BEE, and we are doing the work wherein right now you may not get the idea or you may not get the technology how to build your building green. So we are developing, India is a 5 climatic zone, okay, hot and dry, warm and humid, composite is a temperate climate. So we are doing a design template with a computerized modeling that will be there for another 1 year down the line. You will have the template. So people can pick, okay, you will have the kind of design template available, which orientation, what kind of glass, what kind of wall, what kind of material available in Bangalore, material database will be there. So you can also understand how you are going to consume energy, how much unit you are going to consume per year for the overall building, what kind of equipment you can install. All these informations will be available for common man to use. So that is the work we are doing it with, currently with the government of India and the German government. Very intensive work is happening. Almost we are developing 9,000 model. So you can pick and, the common, that's what my interest. So I started liking so much because the common man at the end, I don't know, we are one of the top consultant in the country. That may not sustainable, but I will be there in the field, which is going to be a sustainable field. And I like to sustain my life in this area to give a benefit back to the community. So this is what happening. Good start, but lot needs to be done in this country.
You had mentioned some time back about the first step being building, sustainable and environment-friendly homes. So I would like to ask you three questions, starting with the construction of our homes. When you construct or when you're planning a new home, how can you make sure that the house is environment friendly? How do you ensure it's a green building? Can you give some tips to people who plan to build their homes in the near future?
Yeah, first and foremost thing is look at your site. Okay, what kind of building you can build, have more open spaces. You can't build in an entire site. Okay, you can minimize your building footprint and have more open areas. Why I am saying more open areas, you need a landscaping. You need kitchen garden, and you need place for harvesting your rainwater, which is very, very critical for nowadays. We are going to run out of water, most of the cities in the country, and Bangalore and I know we're different than any part of the country. So we need to have a provision to harvest our rainwater falling within your plot area. So you should not consume entire plot for just building. If you are able to construct 3,000 square feet instead of 4,000, that's fine. But still you need to have an open space. Otherwise we'll have a trouble later part in terms of water. That is the foremost fundamental requirement for a building. Then next is going to have in terms of what you have to insulate the building. Don't allow heat penetrate into the building. So go for a solid wall, and there are products available in terms of AAC block, fly ash mixed blocks. Then you have a cavity walls, and minimize the glazing. Ensure 100% glazing, 100% daylighting is there in your building. You can't operate your artificial lighting and can burn your energy too much to operate the building. Then you need to protect your roof, have a roof garden, then energy. The most of the white goods and electronic goods are, we have a star labeling in India. So look at it, it's very simple. Don't worry about whether the 3-star is better or 5-star. Go for the 5-star. Wait, maybe, no, the very fundamental thing what we do mistake in the country is we look at the first cost. You go to the shop.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't get your last line.
No, basically, we look at only the first cost. We say that my refrigerator about 25,000 rupees or air conditioning about 40,000, and spending another 10,000 rupees, you will get fantastic 5-star product. But the 10,000 delta T, what you invest in the initial phase, you will get in 3 to 4 months time when you operate. So that kind of knowledge is not there with the community. We'll go to the outlet and buy what you like and cheap. So that year on year, if you look at our life cycle cost of the equipment to operate, 80 to 90% is operational cost. If you look at 10 years and 20 years span of life, and initial cost is only 10%. So we spend mostly on our time for the 10% cost, not 90%. So that paradigm shift should happen to go for the high efficiency, spend little more initial investment, but you will recover in no time. So that is one fundamental shift is required in this country. So low cost to life cycle cost analysis is required for all the equipment. Simple term for building owners or tenant who occupy the building, first look at fresh air ventilation. Do you have enough ventilation, whether air entering into outdoor air entering into the one side of the facade or window, and whether it leaves other side. If it is blocked to both the side or one side, don't buy that plot or flat. It's a very, very critical, because you can't put, now if you look at the air quality, I have been doing air quality tests for most of the commercial building. Indoor is worst contaminated than outdoor. That's why even the post-COVID will have a tough time to manage in India. The kind of design has been delivered other than green buildings. Rest of the building, the spread of pandemic is going to be enormous and quickly will happen, because that kind of ventilation we don't provide. So that is very much required for a building. Then daylight. If you go to the flat when you want to buy, look at around how you are getting the daylight. We need to live with the nature. So we need to get more daylight inside. So these are some of the tips. I can go on
To
for
put your
long,
points
but
in perspective, when someone builds a new home, you advise them to leave enough space for natural ventilation and natural light, instead of trying to cramp up the entire plot with your building and not giving space for light, and depending on artificial, chilling and artificial lights, and then using energy inefficient equipments like those that consume more electricity, or mostly the ones with lesser stars. I have a question on rainwater harvesting. Governments have made rainwater harvesting mandatory to some extent in, I think, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka and so on. But when you say harvesting, do you recommend that the water should be sent down into a pit or a well to recharge the groundwater, or is it enough if the person uses the rainwater to collects the rainwater probably in a tank or an underground sump and uses it for gardening or cleaning the cars? Which is a better option as per your opinion?
no, rainwater, there are two ways of harvesting. One is you have online filters available. So, okay, you can take the down pipe from your roof terrace and have online filter. Then what happens? It's almost like a pure water. You can take it to the underground tank and directly use it. Maybe you'll have a sand filter, or even otherwise you can use it directly for your domestic application. But the roof needs to be cleaned once in a while, but the filter will clean the entire water. There's a membrane inbuilt. What you get is dirt-free water, and rainwater is the purest form in the earth. That is one way of doing it. Second way is, since if you have a borehole and you can have a rainwater harvesting pits. I have in my home, I have a 60 feet, 3 feet diameter, 2 pits I made. Both the rainwater from the roof and ground will get into that, which has got a gravels and sand to filter, because you can't contaminate the groundwater source. Okay, aquifer you can't contaminate, you need to filter it out. So because you can't consume so much of water. When the rain comes, where is the question of using water? Garden doesn't require a water other than domestic application. Then water will be let out. You will have excess water when the rain continuously pours for 3 months, 4 months in the rainy season. So better way to do it is recharge your aquifer so that your bore well get recharged. In fact, when I drilled my bore well, it's about 750 feet, where I got hit the first level of water. And now I can see I measured using cameras, it's about 450 feet. My well never dried, my borehole never dried in my 3-4 years of life here. It keep recharging it, and even the summer or winter I get continuous water. That is the best way, because you can't consume entire rainwater. Always harvest it, aquifer, recharge the bore well, or aquifer just not only for you, even neighbors will get the benefit. There are a lot of case studies in this country how the aquifer is recharged. That's the best way to do the rainwater harvesting. Of course, with the filtration. You can't just use the chemical for gardening and spoil the groundwater. That is not allowed. This should be filtered like a simple gravels and sand in your rainwater harvesting pits.
We've spoken about constructing our own homes, but what about apartments? If you're buying an apartment, and what can you do to reduce your carbon footprints and be more environment friendly?
Now, apartments, you have a limited scope. Good that we have a regulation in this country or in the state where most of the apartments, they have own STP, rainwater harvesting is mandatory. The basic element has gone into the building. Okay. If you look at building level as a site, they have done good job. But the building level, if you look at it, what kind of glass they use, walling material, orientation, they have a limitation and cost constraint. That's where I'm bringing that ENS code, Energy Conservation Building Codes for residential building, wherein every building in the future, after 6 months or so, once it comes to implementation phase, all need to follow minimum guidelines to meet the requirement. So that's going to happen. But many apartments, if you look at being the green building being a voluntary mechanism right now in the country, people are using it. The architect learned through several projects, commercial implementation, and they carry this knowledge back into the residential building, though residential building not aggressive in green rating and green implementation, but there are indirectly things are getting implemented in the residential building also. Sooner it will become mandatory, you can see the changes.
What about people who are already living in certain houses who probably have built it many years back, or maybe living in a rented house where they cannot do much on their own to contribute to a greener environment? Are there some practices that you recommend? Maybe something like composting of garbage or something like that? Do you have anything on your mind that you can quickly share with us?
Yeah, you can do wonders. Okay, basically you don't have a control over the waste builders who has already delivered, handed over to you. A simple mechanism. I don't want to deep dive into the technical aspects. We do a lot of simulation, computer software that is not required for a common man to understand. Suppose you get some overheating in some room because of the glazing is normal glazing, which puts almost 80% of the heat indoor from outside. You can simply put a film. Okay, when the heat comes in, you will have a discomfort that will affect your body rhythm and metabolism. Then you will not get a good sleep. So you have a simple films, you can install it, particularly west and south. East and north will have a cool light, not to worry. Morning we need a sunlight penetration up to 9 o'clock. North anyway cool. The south and west side you can have a film indoor. Inside you can place it so that the heat penetration will come down. That is a simple way of doing it. If you have an air conditioner in the bedroom which is facing west, if you have a film, your air conditioning load will come down in the night time because you don't require to cool the heat what penetrated inside. This simple one. And look at air conditioner, you will have a very efficient 5-star air conditioner. That's what you look at the 5-star. Okay, if you're buying a house for a 2.5 crore, don't carry your old air conditioning unit there unless service is a 5-star rated. Rather, you spend some 25,000 rupees, buy a new air conditioning unit, and the money what you spend, delta T, you will get it in 6 months or 1 year. After that, unit is free because you are already in recovered through energy bill. Then ensure the lights are completely LED lights, and also ensure that stable voltage. Okay, put a stabilizer. Normally we do put a inverter or UPS to store energy, but that's not going to regulate your power. You need to have a stabilizer. Current situation is very bad in most of the cities. So stabilize the voltage so the life of these equipment will go up. That is indirect way of saving energy. Then I will give a simple example again for a household. How do you maintain? Normally, if you go to any of viewers watching, go back to your kitchen and see the refrigerator always kept just close to the wall or just touching the wall. The back side, if you look at, there's a coil available, which is a condenser coil, compressor coil, which required to be cooled. Otherwise, the refrigerator is going to consume more power. So always there should be a gap between wall and refrigerator about an inch or two, which is foremost important and critical. Even the installer they will just push it to the wall. Okay, you need to have the gap for air circulation so that your refrigerator will work efficiently and consume less power. There's a 24/7 operation. And also look at very simple tips like when you have a refrigerator door, I can go in depth on each equipment, but I will quote 2-3 for people to understand. Refrigerator door and body, insert a small piece of paper, pull it out after closing. In case it comes out very freely, that means there is a gap. Your gasket has gone. You have to replace it. Defrost the refrigerator. Defrost the refrigerator every monthly one. You have an inbuilt capacity to defrost so that scaling will come down. Okay, and ensure the servicing done every 3 months or 6 months once as prescribed by the manufacturer, that we don't touch. Simple, every equipment, you need to speak to the equipment. Okay, you need to interact with the equipment, ensure that equipment life is sustained. And go to your kitchen, look at your burners, where you have an LPG burners, you look at the flame, which most of the houses, it will be yellow in color, correct? That itself is an indication that there's a block. It should be always blue. Very, very simple tips that consume a lot of LPG for you. Okay, similarly, you have all opportunity to have your own solar. Little bit cost is less now, 50,000-60,000 rupees per kilowatt panel. Earlier, when we introduced in this country, I was part of the introduction, which is about 2 lakh rupees per kilowatt. And the payback is hardly 3 years right now. Why I'm saying solar power, even apartment, you can run the wire and bring it to your home. Two important things. One is you are saving energy. Second one is you need a power. Kids needs to. Failure is, you can look at any city for that matter, power failure is too much. When the correct, particularly when their peak in examination power goes, what will you do with this? So more than anything, life sustenance. I look at resource conservation is basically for our own life plus life sustenance. You need this kind of, very simple technique to manage.
So what about there is a focus on electric cars, which are touted to be environment friendly. However, wouldn't that depend on the source of our electricity? If our electricity is produced by burning coal, then using electric cars may not necessarily be a very environment friendly alternative. The source of electricity also has to be a sustainable and an environment friendly source, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Sandeep. The electric cars and scooters are picking up this country. What you mentioned is correct. We consume energy anyway, whether electrical source or without electrical, we are consuming energy for charging our cars and two-wheeler. And somewhere we already burned our coal. Our total installed capacity in this country, we are coal-based power sector. Almost 70% is coal, and rest all renewable and nuclear plus hydro-based power plants in this country. So we already burned and emitted CO to the atmosphere. Now, why is this electric car picking up? Not merely for reducing carbon emission to the environment, but the intensity of carbon emission in urban fabric is too much. Okay, the intensity comes out of the city like Bangalore, Chennai, Calcutta, Mumbai, Delhi. That's why the Delhi most of the time in the winter, if you look at it, traps and people cannot live. So basically shifting the gear. It's already produced and emitted, consume it. That was a story when I was fortunate to be part of the Reva factory. Came up in here in Bangalore. We were doing the sustainability. Then Anand Mahindra came for inauguration and he announced it. Okay, there we have done the electrical. If you go to still Reva factory, there is a electrical charging. The parking area is, we have installed solar panel as a canopy rather than the roof, where the solar panel will generate power to recharge the EV, your electrical cars. So that became a model for Anand Mahindra to announce. He was interacting with several governments, asking for a space in public places where he can put a solar panel canopy, and like a credit card, you will be given a card if you have electrical cars. You can go there, charge it, and pay online and take your vehicle out. That is the best way to handle. Electric car per se is green, but you are using non-green energy. So that energy source, if you convert from non-green to green, you have done your job. So 100% natural. So that eventually it's going to happen. Even somebody buys a car, your car parking is a good area where even the Reva is giving a package. Anand Mahindra said, I will give an electrical panel and car, you can install it and charge it. So things are evolving.
Sir, India is a country with abundant sunlight, and we can do so much with solar energy. You know, we can probably become totally dependent on solar energy, but still, solar energy seems to be a little costly. You know, the Reva car that you spoke about a couple of years back when I had inquired, it was 7 lakh plus, and the top end version was about 11 lakh rupees. And battery operated bikes also are pretty costly. Do you think there is a lobby at play which is discouraging use of solar energy for their own businesses not to get affected?
Yeah, that's a good point. As I said in the beginning, the solar energy is no more costly. Okay, it has come down drastically. In fact, we need to have a lot of policy level changes. I am also working with several government in Indian government. Even Bangalore, we have a wheeling option. Suppose you are leaving your city for a vacation, still you generate a power, you can give it to the grid, and you will have a net metering. If you import 100 units grid, your energy bill will reduce by 100 units next month. So that provision is there, but policy framework is not fully evolved, or the electricity board will lose a revenue. So they are a hindrance for it. So that is actually red tapeism. Let us not get into that. But as a owner, if you own your own, and as I said, solar is more of sustenance. You need to have a power for your livelihood, or you need to have a comfort in your, at least when the power goes, you need a air conditioner or fan, your kids should study. For that, I feel more important to have a solar, and payback is hardly now 3 to 4 years. The price, as I said, from 2 lakh, it has come to 54,000, 60,000 rupees per kilowatt. And moreover, after our current Prime Minister went to Paris Convention, Climate Change Convention, he signed an agreement and he brought in a huge kind of policy framework to promote renewable energy in this country. A lot of things happening, and a lot of remote villages has been electrified with the solar hot water, And street lighting, the Andhra became, when the CM Chandrababu Naidu was there, he has done tremendous job of illuminating our entire street light with the solar. And it became the international award-winning project. So a lot happening in India. As you said, the sunlight is abundant in our country. And future, if not in our lifetime, we are going to see that solar will be sold in like a common commodity in the market. So it's going to happen. A lot of intervention, government intervention, private intervention happening in our country. Entire world is focusing India for solar.
In fact, the Bangalore Metropolitan Transport Corporation (BMTC) had launched a battery operated bus, and I
Buses,
think
yeah.
China operates buses or trains or maybe even aeroplanes on solar energy. So I mean, it's incredible that we can do whatever we want to do if we have the intention to be of more cooperative and contributive to the a better environment. So let me talk a couple of things about global warming, and this is a topic that many people don't take seriously. Probably, if you talk about global warming, they'll laugh it off. And we also have one of the world's biggest powers, the President of the United States, who has claimed that global warming is not a major issue, and he's been against the Hague Convention and so on. But I've been reading news quite often of how Antarctica is getting warmer and warmer. By over the last few years, it has gotten warmer by more than 1 degree apparently. And do you foresee some serious dangers to this Earth with the kind of warming that's happening?
Yeah, it's the global warming is a real fact. Some people will agree, some people may not agree. If you look at last 30 years, our earth temperature gone up by 1.5 degrees centigrade. Global average, I'm talking about some cities in Bangalore. If you look at last 10 years, it's gone up by 8 degrees. Some cities, the average, global average, if suppose assume that 8-degree temperature rise, is it not a global warming? Okay, global warming is real, and there are a lot of studies says in next 50 years we'll be seeing a lot of seashore area is vanishing. The sea is going to get raised. I think Chennai will have around 0.5 meters and Calcutta will have a meter height. So you will see 1 or 2 kilometers slowly getting into the sea because of the Arctic melt, Arctic Ocean ice is melting. And one more threat now, post-COVID, people say that Arctic ice is underneath, a lot of virus is really living in that places. So we don't know what kind of virus in living there. Besides the natural calamity which is going to happen in the seashore, and that's going to have a really life-threatening kind of situation if this continues. That's why the most of the countries agreed. We were not the signatory earlier for the climate initiative globally. After Paris Agreement, India signed and took a oath that we will really get into the improvement area. Our per capita consumption is hardly anything. Around energy consumption 60-65 unit, whereas US is about 6,000 unit. Still, our population, if you look at the quantum in terms of the kilowatt hour we consume, it's huge with a population of 1.4 crore. So global warming is inevitable, and we can't reverse the current scenario, but at least we can sustain and see how best we can do the kind of growth in India we will be seeing. I am in the building industry. In next 15 years, you will be seeing one more India developed. That is the level of construction we are looking for. What construction we have currently, it will become double in next 15 years. You can imagine the kind of energy we are going to consume. Our residential building itself is grown from 10% to 25% energy right now. because we already moved from normal building to the luxury segment. Everybody at home will have lot of electrical equipment, air conditioning. The energy has grown like anything in residential, which is going to grow further. So the kind of energy what we are going to consume and which is directly will link to the global warming.
We got a question coming in from Amit Anand. He says, what should be the role of government here? Should law come into play? Normally, we don't act if there are incentives. We only act when it's legally binding. So, what kind of a role should the government play? I think, Amit, I can partly answer your question. It is already legally binding in some cities. I do not know about many other cities, but I know for sure about Bangalore and Chennai. Rainwater harvesting in new buildings has become there is not much of enforcement, and people are unfortunately, the typical Indian jugaad. We try to circumvent the rules, and for example, there's a rule that you need to have a solar water heater in your house to be able to get an electricity connection from your electricity board. However, what many people do is they just collect fake receipts from these solar water dealers and produce it to the electricity board and get the electricity connection. I am for one a big fan of the solar water heaters on the terrace. I've supplied my entire house with solar hot water, and we get really good hot water all the time. And I've saved a lot of electricity, and I'm saving a lot of carbon footprints to the environment. But coming back to you, do you think the government should start enforcing more and putting more pressure on people to adopt these green?
No, Sandeep, if you look at currently, last 17, 18 years, we have done worth of almost 8 billion build up square feet built environment in this country in a greener way, become number 2, number 3 in fluctuating between number 2, number 3 in the world next to USA. So it's all happened voluntarily. Okay, it's actually in India. I am a strong believer that it should come within. As a citizen, we need to take a clear stand that I will do whatever I want. That's what the first cause we should erase from our mind, that we should not worry about the first cause. Even you borrow money, but in return, you will get a fantastic return by conserving energy. If you look at last 15 years, the 6-fold increase in our energy bill, energy cost, okay, that itself give a clear indication that you need to be more energy conscious. Okay, even when you operate, ensure why you need to have a light when you sit in a living room and bedroom light is glowing. Very simple thing will give a lot of benefit to us. And if you look at India, this is the country where we have a lot of guidance, policies, code, standards. We have all. When it comes to implementation, it's very difficult. You can't look at only government to take initiative, but they have a limited resources. They can bring a code and standard, and if we don't own it, such a huge population, the kind of growth happening, very difficult for a government officer to monitor. They can only look at the paper and say, yes, you are doing well, and you can't get into the policeman job of verification. So we need, as I said, so far voluntary, sooner we'll have a mandatory, but unless otherwise, the citizen take the lead role that I will contribute. I will consume less resources without compromising quality of life. We are not saying you don't require to compromise, okay, but go for efficient equipment, use it efficiently when needed so that your quality of life goes up. So that is the only way to change in this country. The policy and mandatory provisions are not going to be successful unless otherwise we as a common man owns it.
And this is the greatest opportunity for us to realize the kind of harm that we've done to the environment. COVID-19 is most probably a man-made disaster, and some school of thought says that uh, with the rampant cutting down of trees, which were the natural habitat for bats, those bats had to start moving, and the virus that was living in the bats was finding a new place to live, and that is how when the natural habitat of bats was destroyed, the virus wanted to find a new host to live in, and that's how it moved to human beings. And now we have lost so many lives all over the world due to this rampant urbanization. And if this is a plausible theory, then we should really wake up and stop doing what we've been doing all these years. Uh, in the beginning of the lockdown in our country, in the first few weeks of March itself, when there was a total lockdown, there were you know cities that were so clear, places in Delhi where you could see the Himalayas from very far away, and cities were so clear. Birds were chirping again, and animals were coming out into the streets and showing off their skills. uh, just a week or two of a total lockdown could do so much good. Imagine how much good a sustainable green lifestyle can do to the environment. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a good point, Sandeep. Good that you touched this critical area. That was my interesting study area also. If you look at currently, go around anywhere in the country. We didn't have an opportunity to go to other places. I'm hearing from my friends, it's everywhere. The trees are growing, very green, okay, lush green everywhere, though the rainfall is not too much. The reason is the outdoor pollution level is too much. Even the trees are not able to breathe. That's what happening prior to the lockdown. And in fact, I measure indoor air quality where we are living in our Bangalore area. Outdoor average, as per World Health Organization, the PM 2.5, the particulate matter, which is invisible in your air, which straight get into your lung. So everybody will have a deposit in our lung, which that's why we get a cold on and off most of the cities where people live. That's what happened. The PM 2.5 in Mumbai or Delhi is almost close to 300, 350, whereas the 40 is the limit for people to live. In Bangalore also, it touched almost 85, 90. And that level has come down to 20, 25. In heart of the city, which is about 40, which is within the limit, within a span of 2 months. But even the lockdown, when I go to office, I used to take the meter and measure. So that is where, that's what I keep saying, that we have to learn, live with the nature. You can't fight with the nature. Nature will not spare us. This is a clear lesson we learned from a lot of disaster happened, and even the COVID is one of the examples. So if we live with the nature, and in fact in Karnataka, we were having trees, where the trees went off. What are the rivers and lakes? All gone. And whatever lake we have right now, all dead, declared dead. Revival is happening. Now what happened in our country? Most of the things are, we learn from mistake. That's too late. Then we pump in huge money for recovery. Sometimes it's impossible to even invest with our capability. So that's what really happened. And in Bangalore, the human being, if you want to live comfortably with the proper quality air, the tree ratio should be 1:18. One person need 18 grown tree. What we have right now is 1:6. And some places 1:2. So we are slowly creating a problem for us, and this is not a good sign. This is not a good sign. That's why more and more education should happen. People should learn themselves by interacting with an expert or reading a lot of stuff happening right now. And the individual person to put an effort. I feel I'm strong. I keep saying my kids that I'm not going to reserve money for you. That's not going to buy anything for you. Okay, I'm going to educate you, contribute to the country so that you will have a better life tomorrow. So that is the only way. Money, you can't buy quality air. You can have a crores of money in bank, but your kids after 30 years, if you leave it like this, they will suffer a lot. Now, can you tell me now, the COVID, can you hide anywhere? Impossible. You can be a crore, but the billionaire, millionaire are on the same line. We are on the same plateau right now. We are standing together. With a poor man or rich man, doesn't matter. This is what the environment is going to teach a lesson. We learned, still people not learned. And future is going to be this kind of situation. Only we are going to face every year if we don't attack right now.
Nature is the greatest leveler, isn't it? You mess with nature and it teaches you a lesson. COVID-19 is a very big lesson that nature has taught us. There are extreme weather events that are happening in the world. Of late, the frequency of extreme weather events in India and in the world, be it cyclones, be it earthquakes, be it flooding, is frequency over the last few years. And this, if this is not a warning sign, then what is? To repeat what we said sometime, what Selva sir said sometime back is, it's let us not just depend on the government to come down on us and force it upon us. Let ourselves be responsible individuals, responsible citizens, because the best thing that we're going to leave for our future generations, for our children, for our grandchildren, is not money in the bank, is not a luxurious house, is not gold or material possessions, but clean air to breathe, a clean environment. And we are already struggling because the summers every year are getting hotter and hotter. We are struggling to get free, clean air. And if we do not act now, then our children are really going to feel extremely bad that, we left behind an earth that is so unlivable. And as Sir said some time back, uh, you know, nature doesn't differentiate. If you have some of the richest people in India, like Amitabh Bachchan and his family, who are hospitalized due to COVID, then anybody can be affected, right? We cannot hide anywhere. And when nature's fury us, shows us our way, then you just have to cover up and cannot do anything at all. Well, Selva sir, it was a great discussion with you and a very thought-provoking and an eye-opening one. One last question to you. Uh, Talk us about your house. And I have seen your house a little bit, and it is a house that has won some awards at the national and international level. And you are walking the talk. You're not just saying things because you're in the profession, but you're also practicing. What are the green initiatives that you have done in your house?
Yeah, good, Sandeep. This is my close to my heart. Yeah. In fact, though I worked with all major MNCs, talk any MNCs and Indian corporate, I'm part of it. Like from Google to TCS to Infosys to Wipro, just name any building I was, wherever they rejected me in the campus interview, I became a consultant for them. Okay. When, if I come to my house that is very close to my heart, I have not done it for any green rating purpose, but as a committed environmental professional, I decided to do whatever I like the most in the building. Either trial basis or first time in the country, whatever it may be, even it failed, doesn't matter for me. That's the reason I took it and leave some legacy. Okay, I have done 1,000 building, but it may not stand in the market, but the building which I build, I own, it became an education place, and many architecture students came down here in bulk and learned and gone. And I also produced a video. Council came from US, Washington, DC. They took a video shot and recorded all this information. I just today, when you said we need to discuss, I just took my last 1 year energy data. It's a surprise to me also. I never gone into the depth. And India, if you look at, we call it as energy performance index, how much energy kilowatt hour you consume per square meter per year. Okay, that is the measurement, all the Indian standard and internationally measured. Conventional building of this kind of nature will be around 80 units per square meter per year, and good design building about 40, and my building 10.7. You can
Wow,
just
that's
imagine
incredible.
10.7. That's why they are given, the US given the highest rating, and Indian Council also given the highest. I think that's where this is because of a certain element. I will just briefly talk about for 2 minutes. One, this building is 95% daylit. If in daytime anybody walks into my house, there won't be any artificial light other than the living room where we watch audio visuals. There we need little darkness, so purposely we created, and the glass what we use almost 120 square meter, 120 square feet is the area glass we used for the roof, and that not the glass is not a transparent glass; it is a safety glass which filters the light and diffuse light come in. Even the peak summer, if you stand underneath my the glass panel on the roof, you still get a cool feeling. So it doesn't bring the hot sun inside; it filters. A complete daylight, and wall is made out of porotherm block, which is reduce the heat gain into the building, and properly oriented. No direct sun hit any kind of glass. It's completely shaded with the device. We did a sun path analysis, shading analysis. The shading of all the windows and glasses has been done properly. And we have a roof garden, and entire roof is covered with the solar. We generate almost 60% of the energy requirement through solar. Then we have a solar hot water. The very unique thing which I have done first time in the country is I have a solar hot water. Normally it inbuilt with a solar heater. When the winter comes, solar hot water, heater will take over like a geyser. I purposely removed that. I made a dummy. And what we have in all our bathrooms are LPG based geysers. Normally, if you look at any apartment, initially, though you have a solar, you have to open the tap and leave maybe 1 or 2 buckets of water. The
Right.
pipeline water has to come. Then the solar hot water picks up. And the winter, you will not have it. You have to switch on your. So there, we are not only consuming energy and wasting water. So what happened? I put an LPG geyser. It picks up in 30 seconds. I get a hot water immediately. The pipeline water is heated up. Then moment the temperature touches 50 coming from the solar hot water panel, then this cuts off automatically. So that way we are saving energy plus water.
Got it.
And entire building is illuminated with the only LED, not even one light other than LED. 100% exterior interior is illuminated with only LED light, and inverter based best efficiency air conditioning unit I have installed. I have efficient energy efficient lift, and entire water is treated with the energy efficient equipment. Then we have own STP. Though we have 4 or 5 people, there were a lot of debate. It's not going to work, etc. But I took it now. A lot of installation.
A
That
sewage
company who is
treatment plant.
sewage treatment plant. They said 4 or 5 people, it doesn't work. And it was there in Germany that point in time. The one guy ready to help me from Chennai, and he started distributing right now. They have done more than 450 so far after installing it. Last 3 years, I never even looked at it. Entire water is treated, and with the pneumatic system, I am using only treated wastewater for complete irrigation. So irrigation is again drip and sprinkler. It comes morning around 6:30. It cuts off based on the water requirements. So water is also not wasted. And the rainwater harvesting pits and the entire equipment, I bought it new, refrigerator, dishwasher, name any equipment, washing machine, all of them are 5-star rated. Building is insulated. What else you want? And later part after checking the air quality, I feel somewhere the indoor air quality, though I have a proper ventilation. Glass, very important thing. First time Saint-Gobain introduced in the market, I brought and did it, which is like a windshield. Okay, you will have a diffuse light from the windows and roof, but you can't break it. Okay, if you try to break, it will only cracks. It never goes in pieces. It's a film inside, tempered glass and heat treated, so you can't break it for safety purpose as well as energy efficiency. And entire roof, I put up like a swimming pool. I put the membrane. Even I can store water on the roof, never leaks. And roof fitted with reflective tiles so that before the heat penetrate into the building, it's reflected back more, almost close to 70%. So that's where I will save energy on the air conditioning. Like that, several measures in this building. Then it eventually became the greenest in the country, and the US also came forward and voluntarily they tested the building. Even the shower, I don't allow people to use shower, my kids. That is a very important element for our exercise point of view. We have every bathroom, I kept one bucket and mug. They need to use only that to take a bath. Shower is available when you are sick, you are not able to bend. Besides that, you can't use the shower. Then morning, when you take a bath, that bending will give good exercise for you for joint. That's how the ancestors trained us. So we lost in between. I think that's what we have to reinvent the wheel. Though you live in a luxury apartment, doesn't mean that you need a shower. And all the water fixtures are efficient. And also I throttled it. And one more thing for viewers, if not today, please check your water quality, which I have seen. I'm part of the lot of national level committees and even Bangalore water committee. Most of the groundwater have contaminated, and E. coli is inevitable, the bacterial growth, and that will trouble you. If you keep getting some stomach upset more often, that indicates that your water is polluted. Okay, immediately get the testing done, and you need to have a UV filter for the main inlet to your distribution line. So that's a one-time investment, hardly 30,000 rupees, but you will save a lot of health-related issue for longer in your life. Plus, now it's a mandatory to have air purifier. You can't afford to have a UV filters in your air conditioning system, but portable air purifiers has come into the market. Suppose, assume that in a house, one person got infected for a COVID or any kind of viral. If you put this UV air purifier, UV fitted air purifier in the room, it will not allow virus to float around. Immediately it captures, and within 2 to 3 minutes, the entire room air circulation happened with the UV filter. It kills the virus and bacteria. So these kind of smart also purifies your air. So many things you can do it at home. Everything I have done it in this house.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much for those inputs. Let me wind up by telling you what I have done in my house to do my bit for energy. Firstly, I've got an extensive rainwater harvesting system. All the rainwater goes into the rainwater pit. Another area which I feel where we waste a lot of water is in our RO water purifiers. The outlet pipe that keeps sending out rejected water. That's a lot of water that we waste. For every 8 liters, apparently there's about 16 liters that are being rejected. So I have connected that also to the rainwater harvesting system. So I collect that water and use it for watering the plants and for cleaning vehicles and so on. I've got solar water connections to all the bathrooms, to the kitchens as well. There is absolutely no geyser in the house, so it's only solar water. And my equipments are energy efficient. I've got an inverter AC, which apparently is very energy efficient as well. And I've got automated lights also for certain external areas where the lights would only turn on at night and turn off in the morning, because sometimes you'd forget to turn them off in the morning, and that's a lot of electricity wasted. So, and then there are some solar motion sensor lights that I have installed at certain vantage points where you need to see who's coming in and who's going out. So not keeping those lights on all the time, but they turn on, only when there is a movement around. And these kind of equipment are available on Amazon and Flipkart as well. Solar lights, motion sensing lights, and smart lights. Again, you don't have to have the same brightness all the time. You can reduce the brightness in the light as well. So these are multiple things that I do. And another thing that I do, which is very, very important, and many people don't follow this, is garbage segregation at source. So I segregate my garbage into wet and dry and sanitary waste as well. And I'm very, very strict about that. We follow that to the hilt. We hand over our garbage to the garbage collector, where all the dry garbage is in one bag and the wet garbage is the food waste is in the other. And this causes a lot of problems to our environment, dumping the garbage in landfills, and that's a vast topic in itself, which I'm sure Selva sir will agree with me, the importance of garbage segregation at source. With that, we'd like
Uh,
to, yes, sir, you have something to say about
yeah,
that.
in fact, yeah, if you look at as you said, is a wet garbage what we uh, generate on daily basis. I have a small unit, just 4,000 rupees in investment. My entire garden, I never bought any composting from outside. That output is good enough to manage my garden in terms of feeding. That's fantastic. 4,000 rupees, we are getting what we want. But again, as I said, the awareness level is low. And more, we should own it. It's a common sensical approach. I don't see any big technology involved. You need an engineer to educate. You keep asking yourself, am I using water effectively? Just close your tap, 50% open it, see, are you comfortable? Okay, very, very simple. If you keep asking, am I consuming less? Today, my energy bill is 3,000. Can I make it 2,900 next month? Simple mechanism. Okay, so turn off your fan, turn off. One more critical point which I want to leave it to the audience here. Normally, if you go to the bedroom in a summer, we put on the air conditioner and maintain around 24 degrees. That is a common sense. Then put a blanket and sleep, which is not required. Okay. Even international standard, our body metabolism to work effectively, we require 24 plus or minus 2. That means we have a bandwidth of going up to 26 degrees. In fact, you can even make it 28 and put a ceiling fan. When the cold air passes your body with little higher velocity, you feel more comfortable than air conditioner. So these are simple things. You keep experimenting it. 24 to 28 degrees with a ceiling fan, you reduce straight away 30% energy in your air conditioning without compromising your quality, comfort. So that's what people, common man, you don't require engineering degree. For a green is more of common sense. That's what I wanted to communicate.
Well, all those who tuned in, thank you very much for your support. I'm going to quickly read out some names. Some of you who have commented: Sujata, Satish, Deepak Joe, Amit Anand, Maheshwari, Ishwar Murthy, Palani Bhaskar, Ravi Kumar Soundarajan, Sujit Nayak, Deepa Ranganathan, Sri Charan, Rajamanikam. Thank you very much, all of you, for your sweet comments. And thank you, Sai Lakshman, Dr. Nagaveni, Shashank Kishore. All of you tuned in and showed your support. I hope this session was useful. If you have any further questions to ask Mr. Selvarasu, you can always find him on Facebook. He is on my friend list by the name Selva Maru. He'll be happy to share his knowledge and suggestions on being more environment friendly, which is, of course, the need of the hour. Thank you very much for your time this evening, sir. I would send you back to your family to spend some quality time over the weekend with them. And hopefully, we will together be the Earth warriors fighting for our planet Earth. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you. Pleasure having interacted with you. Thank you so much. Good night, friends.
Bye. Good night.